Hi, everyone. Um, I'm here just to do something really different. I'm making my own celebration here today, in commemoration of all my past loved ones, the ones that I just to do a little celebration, just like they do in Mexico and in South America and different places in the world where they celebrate All Saints Day on November 1st and 2nd. And I realize it's already November 3rd, but tomorrow, November 4th, will be the anniversary of my husband, Ron, who passed away just in 2022. And I thought, well, let's do a little something for Ron. And then I thought I'd include my other loved ones that passed on as well. So, to do a little combination, I've kind of I don't have a skull face, but put a couple of spider webs there, and I'm a bit of a goth queen. So today I'm a goth queen. I've got the outfit on, you know. So yeah, we're just doing that. Let's just alter this a little bit here. Yeah. So now I'm just going to show you my altar, which that's what everyone does when they do a commemoration for your loved ones. And so there you can see Ron, and then my mom and dad that's my mom and dad on their wedding day, and that's my grandma and grandpa, and that is my great grandfather there over there. Very striking man. And yeah, so I'm doing a little bit of something for all my loved ones that have passed on, or a few of them anyway. Be pretty hard to do all of them because that would be, a pretty large altar, wouldn't it? So yeah, so anyway, and I don't have my cup of tea here. Pause just a moment. There we go. I'm back. So hello everyone, and happy All Saints Day. I'm a bit late, but like I said, I think people celebrate right until the 6th of November, so I don't think it's too bad of a faux for me. But anyway, here I am. So, in commemoration of all my loved ones, what a lot of people do is they have these altars that they set up, and then they also have maybe they read some poetry or tell a story that it reminds them of their loved ones, or play some music. Sometimes people play music that they used to like to listen to. I know that Ron always loved Brooks and Dunn, and his favorite song was Believe, and also Maria. And my mom, she always used to like Patsy Cline and Elvis Presley. And my dad, he liked CCR. And oh, uh, Taking Care of Business. He loved that one. Grandma and Grandpa. Well, it had to be John Cash. Anything to do with Johnny Cash or any old Jimmy Horton, old country western music. And great grandpa, well, I don't really know what he would have liked, but I would assume it would be anything around the time of, because he was in the Navy, in the British Navy, maybe something to do with rum, drinking rum, whoa, ho, ho, and a bottle of rum. I don't know, probably, or something along those lines. He was he used to work in a pub. His uncle was a pub owner in Wales, and he used to tell stories to my grandfather about uh, the blue cheese in the barn and how they would shake the maggots off they'd let it hang in a bag, in a cheesecloth bag in the barn. And every so often they go and check it to see if it was ready enough, which ready enough meant decayed enough and blue enough. And they stomp, hit the table with the and get the maggots out of it and go taste a little bit. Oh, I don't know if you can imagine that. Anyway, so that was great grandpa and sort of a little bit of a taste of what his life was, what I assume his life would have been like. I don't know. He was an interesting man, according to my grandfather. He used to talk about him quite a bit. So anyway, to all of you, my loved ones, I'm thinking about all of you, and maybe you want to do that too. It's kind of a nice thing to do, I think, to remember those that have passed, remember the good things about them, and maybe the not so good things too. Maybe the things that are kind of odd or eccentric or funny, uh, that you think are something that just was something that made them special and unique, and something that you liked about them. And so it was, yeah, I think it's a good thing to carry on and to do, and to maybe make it a habit of doing. And so anyway, around the world, other people around the world have been celebrating the Day of the Dead. And most people, they will have their faces painted white like a skull, and they'll have all the skull painting on them and everything. But I didn't want to go that far, so I just have a little bit of mm, kind of meeting myself a little part way there. So not going all the way with a white face and looking like a skull. So I was a big chicken. Maybe next year. Next year, maybe that's what I will do. But so let's talk about stories about times gone by and stories of loved ones and things that you remember that were good about them. And um, there's a few things that I'd like to talk about my own mother, because maybe whoever's listening to this, maybe it is uh, some of my own relatives that maybe I actually, my own nieces and nephews that have been forbidden to talk to me, or me forbidden to talk to them, and maybe they might actually hear this and learn a little bit about my mom. And my mom, Clara, was her name. And what I remember about her as a little girl and is that she was very, very creative person. She could sew anything. She was amazing. And she could cook anything too. She was just very, very good that way, very creative. And I didn't know till quite a bit later that she actually wanted to be a writer, and that she used to write long, long letters to family, and that was in her heart to be a writer. And I kind of feel that maybe she's trying to pass that on to me. And yeah, because I've had a few visits from her since she's passed, and yes, I've had visits from ancestors. Okay, I'm saying it out loud. You all know now. Yes, yeah, I see dead people. Yeah, and and or parts of them are right now they're just showing up like shadows on a wall. But some I've had actual visits, actual entity type visits. Um, it's all interesting, learning to adapt. So anyway, what else do I remember about my mom? Um, she had a little bit of a warped sense of humor. She used to get us kids to say these little rhymes, and they were usually uh, sort of word, um, you know how you can get different words and get them to sound just to test yourself phonetically and to test the way your speaking is. And she would say, "Now say this rhyme," and then say it really fast. And so I remember her saying, "Now say one smart fellow and he felt smart. Two smart fellows and they felt smart. Three smart fellows and they all felt smart." So all of us kids would be, of course, trying to say this and saying it really fast. And of course, everyone was getting smelt fart all the time. With lots of laughter, lots of fun, and it was really quite funny. And another one was polish it in every corner. Polish it in every corner. So you know what that sounds like. And what else was that? Something else she was, so she had a little bit of a sense of humor, would get us to laugh as kids. And she wasn't very good at discipline. I remember one time when you have six children, well, you know, it's, well, most of the time it was five. And the sixth one, she passed away after Corrine was born. She was just 3 months old. So she didn't get much time with Corrine. But um, so, you know, when you got five children, you do the best you can as far as discipline goes. And we used to have this big, mom and dad would buy things in bulk, like big bags of sugar, big bags of flour, because, you know, my mom, she baked bread herself and she did everything herself. And so, anyway, there was this great big bag of sugar that was around the corner in the back landing down the stairs. And so we would go down the stairs to maybe put some clothes in the laundry or, you know, down in the laundry chute. And then as we were jumping up the stairs, coming back up the stairs, we would lick our fingers and dip our hands in the bag of sugar and take off. So I guess what was happening is, I don't know if something was, if the sugar was getting contaminated or what was happening. But anyway, mom got kind of upset, mad that we were doing this all the time. And so she didn't know how to get us to discipline us to stop from doing this. So she lined us all up along the hallway in down the in the house. And she said, "Who has been dipping their hand in the sugar?" Well, nobody's gonna say, "I do, I am," you know. So she's like, "So you've all been dipping your hands in the sugar. You're not to dip your hands in the sugar anymore. And then put your hand out." And she's supposed to give us a whack on the hand with a ruler. And that's what's going to happen to you. Well, of course, myself and my older brother, we thought this was quite funny, and we were laughing and that mom was doing this. And the younger ones, of course, were quite upset. They were crying, and you know, like as they would, because you know, as your age, you would take that as really, oh, I'm really bad, and you know, I did a bad thing. And but as older ones, it didn't work, right? So we were still dipping our hands in the sugar. It didn't matter. So, but anyway, mom did her best to try to discipline us, but it kind of backfired. Mom, sorry about that. Yeah. So anyway, but that was the way she was. And she kind of would put it off to dad and say, "Look, you know, at the end of the day, poor dad would be like, no, this one did this wrong and that one did this wrong." So he kind of looked like the bad guy a lot of times, having to discipline us at the end of the day. So, um, yeah, so that was a little bit that I remember. I remember her spending a lot of time with me, helping me to learn um, how to be a public speaker. And believe it or not, when I was just like, how old would I have been? 5 or 6? Must have been about 6. And my mother had me memorize this whole poem for a competition, and I memorized the whole poem, and I won the prize. But the prize was a book that I was unable to read yet because I was only 6 years old. So it was kind of a buzzkill. But I still remember the poem. You want to hear it? So the poem was Someone Came a Knocking. Someone came a knocking at my wee small door. Someone came a knocking, I'm sure, sure, sure. I opened, I listened, I looked from left to right, and none there was a stirring in the still dark night. Only the busy beetle tapping on the wall, only from the forest the screech owl's call. So I know not who came knocking at all, at all, at all. So anyway, that was my first time doing something like that, and I think I honestly won because I was a little bit of a ham. Um, yeah, yeah. Who couldn't love this face, right? Anyway, so yeah, so that was my mom had me do that, and I remember her having me repeat it and repeat it in front of a mirror, and she did the same thing for me later, um, because we were JWs, and JWs always practice having talks, which they call, and they're like 5-minute talks that you do a mock kind of talking to someone when you're going door to door. That's how they practice to be able to talk to people about different topics. So anyway, my first ever talk, again, mom, she had me memorize an entire 5 minutes. If you can imagine that, as a little girl, I was just like 9 or 10 years old. Must have been about 10. And I had memorized this entire talk. Don't ask me to remember that now, but and that was the first time I think anyone in the JW history probably ever clapped for someone giving a talk. But they were so impressed this little girl had remembered the entire talk. So that was what mom had taught me. And so I still remember that, and I think if she would have kept living, she would have probably done a lot more things like that for the rest of the family, not just me, but because I was the oldest daughter. And yeah, so anyway, she used to do things like that, and she used to do other funky things that other people wouldn't do. Like she made her own marshmallows, if you can imagine that. Like she knew how to make marshmallows, in a pan. Like I guess they weren't selling them in bags in those days, and you know, stuff like that. She did everything homemade. She did her own thing, and I always thought she was a very amazing woman. Very well dressed too. She used to love to get dressed up, and I remember her taking us all to to the Eaton Center or the Bay in Saskatoon, and of course, again, you have all those children, and she would get us all dressed up. She would be all dressed up just to go shopping, and we'd all have to ride on the bus to get there because mom didn't know how to drive. And so we'd all take the bus and go on this trip to shopping. And I remember still the escalator and going on the escalator right as a kid. I always freaked me out and things like that. But mom would have us all so dressed up just to go shopping. And she would just be the belle of the ball herself. She had the matching this and the matching that and the matching purse and the gloves and the because that was the thing back then in the 60s, 70s. Well, 70s, that's when blue jeans came, and that was every women everywhere were throwing their bras away and wearing halter tops and yeah, rebelling. So the whole getting dressed up thing kind of went out the window. But in the 60s, women were pretty dressed up everywhere they went, and yeah, looking good. And so that was mom, and she took pride in that. I don't know what she'd be thinking today with everybody in their yoga pants. It might have really bothered her, I think. She probably would be bothered seeing me wearing them, I'm sure. But anyway, yeah, love you, mom. And so I just thought I'd do a little thing for mom, and I could spend a lot of time talking about everybody else, but I think I just wanted to do a little thing for mom today because, I think she got left out a lot, and thought I remember her. So for all you out there, um, I know it's late, but happy Day of the Dead, and to all those that are remembering loved ones like I'm remembering them. And I think it's a good thing to do. And if you want to follow this, make it your own little tradition. And I think this is going to be my own little tradition from here on in, to have a little altar space, a little something, and a little commemoration for those that have passed on. And Remembrance Day is coming, and it's just in a few days on the 11th. And there's another day to remember those that have sacrificed themselves for our countries in wars, for heaven knows what the reason was for those wars. And they gave up their lives. And so rather than think about the war, though, think about them as the person. And think about the happy times with them. Think about the things that you remember that made you laugh, that they did that were quirky and funny and or just annoying, whatever it was. Think about those things about those that passed and how they had such a loyalty in them and how they had this love for their country, for everyone else, to sacrifice themselves the way they did. And remember that about them. That takes a lot, and courage and loyalty and all those signs of a good person. And yeah, so remember that. Don't think about the war part. Eh, we don't have to talk about that stuff. Talk about the persons that left and the good that you remember about them. A little bit of the bad stuff because sometimes that's kind of juicy. And it's interesting and quirky. But anyway, here's to remembering my loved ones. Ta-da. Oh, hi there. Or I should say bye. You caught me. Yeah, I'm drinking coffee. Yeah. I also drink coffee. Yeah. And it turns out I like coffee as much as I like tea. But anyway, it's the end of the video. And I wonder if you could do me a favor. All you have to do is click like. And maybe if you really like what I'm saying and you want to share it, maybe click subscribe. And then that way it helps me pay for the young lad that's helping me edit these, because I don't know how to edit very well. Like, you probably noticed that. And I need a little bit of help. And that fellow is a very nice young man. Andrew is his name, and his business is Permanent Records. And I'd like to give him a little plug to help him out. And so if you help me, I help Andrew. And that's how it goes. We just help each other out. But the long and the short of it is, I'm only ever going to get there if you click like and subscribe, because that's the only way that YouTube will actually notice me. And then they will put me in an algorithm. Then that supposedly helps me to actually make some money. And then I pay Andrew. And everybody's happy. Anyway, thank you for listening. And are you my badass bestie? And you drink coffee too? Okay, talk to you later. Bye.